All right, this is
I'm the weirdo in this one. I'm the weirdo, guys.
this is Maxim Galarno
Wow.
from the Great White North.
What's it? Is that Canada?
This makes me really uncomfortable.
I think maybe, see, he says English is not his first language, so I'm guessing like Norway,
Okay.
Scandinavia, one of the Scandinavian places. He says, I listen/watch your show for the last 2 years. It's the first time that I have such a burning question that I need to write it to you.
Caliente.
I seek your wisdom and knowledge, so please do not do a Luke Skywalker and just stare at me.
Fucking spoilers, man.
What are you talking about? That's not. Luke Skywalker stare at you. It's not a spoiler for anything until you say spoilers.
Right, that's true.
If we would have rode right through it, it would have been fine.
Ooh, it's true.
Do you have a B?
Nope, just A.
Just that.
B, I think your horse story was real weird. I don't think I'm alone.
Maxim continues, after the phenomenal fall and the last year altogether, we, gamers, I played a lot of wonderful games. Witcher 3, Batman, Rocket League, Metal Gear Solid 5, Fallout 4, etc. I was able to finish most of them.
Etc. was really good.
Damn you, Metal Gear Solid 5's Chapter 2. But now is the season that is a little more quiet in big release.
Sort of.
There is a lot of good or average games I missed last year, and most of them are on sale now. My question is, yes, there is one, when is it too late to get into a new game, more particularly in a multiplayer-centric game?
Ooh.
For
Okay, that's
instance,
different, yeah.
is it too late to try Evolve, or Destiny, Taken King, even Rainbow Six Siege? My fear is there is not enough players still playing those games, or worse, the remaining players are too hardcore, I'll be killed many times, and I'll hate my experience. What do you think?
That's a pretty good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and this is something I think about a lot in terms of MMOs. Like sometimes I've thought about like, hey, that MMO looked cool. I never got around to it. I want to try it out, but then I'm like, no, everything's been figured out. It's all math now. There's one optimal build, and I'm going to be experimenting to figure things out for fun, and everyone's just going to be like not inviting me to their group because I don't have what's right.
I will say, I want to get back to the original question, but in response to that, I actually like MMOs when I can come into them late and the whole herd has moved on, because then there's not, like if I used to play WoW a lot and like the day an expansion came out was just a sprint to like, this dude respawns and then everyone's trying to kill him and like all the, like, it's just crowded. Like it's like going to a crowded mall before Christmas. Whereas once everybody's moved on, like I mostly play MMOs single player anyway, and then it's like, just luxurious. I can go at my own pace and read the quest text. So I mean that part doesn't bother me. But in terms of online games, I mean it's on a case by case basis. Destiny is still active.
Oh yeah,
heck.
you're totally fine with Destiny.
I would not get Evolve probably.
Yeah. So the thing with Evolve is that I mean they're still releasing content for new content for Evolve. So they're still supporting the game, and like sure the player base isn't as big as it was when the game first launched. The difficult thing is for sure. Jumping in as a new player right now, especially if you want to play on the hunter side of things, is really, really tough because we're at that stage I feel like in the game of Evolve where if you're playing online as a hunter, you've probably hunted whatever monster you're up against. You've probably hunted that monster a lot. You've worked with other teams a lot. You know exactly what those other characters in your team are supposed to be doing and what you can expect from them, and you know what you need to do. As a new player jumping in and you've got 3 other people on your team who are just going to be, I mean, they're not going to be nasty, but they're just going to be like, brah, why don't you know what to do yet?
Yeah, so you're totally right. There's 3 things here. There's the player base, and there's actually resources if you just Google, like, you know, Steam players or whatever, you can find places that track how many people are playing a game. Like, is there 3,000 people playing Evolve a day, 30,000, 300,000? Like, you can see that resource. So if you're playing on PC, at least, that's one thing that you can sort of solve with some resources. Is the competitive, you know, game going to be way too, you're just going to get smoked? I had that experience with Call of Duty. Black Ops 3 was new, but it's the same Call of Duty. And I haven't played Call of Duty seriously since 5 years, probably whenever Black Ops 2 came out. And I just couldn't, like, I haven't played since there was Pick 10, so I didn't know what was going on with that.
Right.
I didn't know, like, it wasn't fun. Like, I went, like, you know, 2-20, and I'm not a terrible shooter player, but just that was just the playing field that I'm not used to. And it just wasn't. I played 4 or 5 matches, got completely smoked, and I'm like, I don't think I can play this anymore. Like, it's this thing that people that's the only thing they play, and that's who I matched up against, and it just wasn't fun. Then there's the cooperative side of it, like you were saying. You run into that with something like a MOBA, like, you rely so much on your teammates that if one guy's like, this is my first game ever, what are the buttons? You're just going to be like booted. Like, that no one wants to spend an hour getting drugged down by a teammate that like can't pull their weight.
Right. So yeah, it's tough. I mean, that said, like I think Evolve is a fantastic game. I reviewed that last year, and I think it's excellent. I think it's worth people's time. It's worth people's money. The DLC is kind of absurdly expensive, but even if you just get into the core game, it's a lot of fun and it's worth climbing the mountain for, in my opinion. But I always feel like if you just want to jump in and have a good time right away, I don't feel like jumping into an intense multiplayer game like that late in its life is going to be the right thing for you, because you're probably going to spend a lot of time losing and for a while until you get good. And for some people, that's part of the fun. Like I enjoy the climb of that mountain. I enjoy getting in and getting my face kind of like torn up until I start to learn and improve incrementally, and then it feels good when I start winning and doing better. But for some people, they want to jump in and they want their skills from one game to transfer right over. And when a game has been out and developed, the meta has developed for a while, I think it's tough, and you're just going to be frustrated.
I will say, if Maxim's looking for a specific suggestion, Destiny is probably one of gaming's biggest turnaround stories ever.
Destiny. Or I was also going to say, as far as multiplayer games go, probably Star Wars Battlefront is very easy to just jump into.
Battlefront's very casual, both from a design mechanical standpoint, and I suspect its player base. I actually don't know if this is true. I'd love to find some way to like find this out. But I tear shit up in Battlefront. Like I'm really good at it, and I don't think it is that I'm really good at it. I think it's just there's way more people in those matches. They're like, yeah, I like Star Wars. I'll buy this game, compared to like Call of Duty, where it's like people buying it because it's Call of Duty and they love it and they know it. And like I suspect that Battlefront is a little bit more casual audience, which lets me succeed.
They have a great television commercial campaign that just shows people like jumping into X-wings, and they're like, "Oh, that looks like a lot of fun."
Yeah, and I think people play the game a lot more casually. But Destiny is an example. Like I've never been more disappointed in a game in year one and more enamored with a game in year two. Like the Taken King is so good. It's
great.
Yeah, Destiny's one of the rare games where it's almost better if you jumped in a year late.
Yeah,
no, for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
And they give you tools to catch up. You don't need to worry about grinding up your level or anything like that. So I really, really think Taken King is really excellent.
In terms of single player games, I don't think it's literally ever too late to jump into something.
No.
A cool campaign. Cool campaign's a cool campaign.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely games
It's a
that
Miyamoto quote.
Yeah. A cool campaign is a cool campaign, but a cool campaign is a cool campaign. I don't know Japanese. I think I might have messed that one up.